Hi folks, it's Mike again with MBFX, and in this video we're going to get into more of the details of setting up MBFX version 3 to meet your needs and go through the various input options and how they affect what you see in your charts. So to get started, if you don't have the navigator bar open, you need to hit File, then hit Navigator Bar, and that'll show this area right here. Go to Custom Indicators, and then you need to scroll down to MBFX version 3. So just double click on that, it immediately brings up the inputs, and if you hit OK, it'll pop up any second here, and there we go. So let's go through some of the input options and see how they affect what you see on the chart and when you trade. Okay, so in this particular chart, if I bring up our inputs, I'm going to hit Edit. Now, the first two inputs, again, we will go through those in another video. Those impact the waves and how they appear on your chart, and we will again do a video on those later. So for now, you can leave them; they'll be fine right where they are. The next two is we have two stops currently that we allow you to use and show on the screen. The first stop is based on the entry bar. So it's in relationship to the entry bar. And in this particular case, we see a value of 4. So basically what that means is the stop will be set 4 pips above or below, depending upon the direction of the entry. In this case, it's 4 pips below the low of the entry bar. And you can see that right here by this red line. The second stop is set for 2 pips. So this is 2 pips below the setup bar. So you can go in here and double click on this and change it any way you want. I'm not going to change it now because it'll disappear off the screen, but you can make that as tight or as loose as you want. So we give you both of those. Now it's important to note that if you use the entry bar, your risk reward will be much better than if you use your setup bar. That's because it's closer to the market, so you're going to be risking much less based on, regardless of what your target profit is. It'll always be better than using the setup bar, but you'll be stopped out a lot more frequently. And again, as I said in a previous video, I particularly like to use the setup bar because that's usually an extreme inflection point in the market, and a lot of times that's retested before the market reverses. So for me in particular, I like to use the setup bar or the second stop as you see here. Now, I'm going to skip this next one for a moment and go down to the second stop show and show the first stop. In this case, you can see that we have them both set to true. So we see them both on the screen. You're going to see up here that both are listed. So you're going to see your risk, your reward. You're going to see both of them listed down here. So it gives you a lot more information that you can use when you enter into a trade if you want to see both of those before you enter into a trade. One of the reasons why I added this is because a lot of times on the entry bar, the market can really reverse hard on you instantaneously. And in that particular case, it would be better to use potentially the entry bar for your stop. So I'd prefer to give you guys more options than fewer. In this other chart right here, oops, let me cancel out of this for a second. In this chart here, you notice that there's only one stop level, and it's stop loss level 2, because I've turned off the entry bar stop. So again, it's just making it easier. I've decided I wanted to use just one stop level for my trading, and again, everything will be adjusted according to how you put that in. Okay? Now, going back, now this next feature, the minimum risk to reward, and it's really reward to risk, is a really key component to MVFX version 3. It really separates this, I believe, from other products that are out on the market. This is allowing you to set what minimum reward to risk you need to see in a trade so you know if the trade's good or not. In this case, we've set it to, I need to see 2 pips of reward to every 1 pip of risk. Otherwise, I don't want to take the trade. So I'm looking for 2-to-1 reward to risk. And you'll notice in this particular case, stop loss 1 and stop loss 2 are both red. That means that neither one of those, if I had them both on the screen, which I do here, neither one of those met the 2-to-1 reward to risk that I've set up that I need to take in a trade. So I would not take this trade. Now again, there are other factors. Again, we've talked about slippage a little bit. And this is a very small trade, so probably wouldn't take it anyway because slippage will quickly eat up the 1.9 pips. But hopefully you get the gist of this. The point is that not all trade entries are set up equal. Some have a fabulous reward to risk. Others have a terrible reward to risk. And there's no point getting into a trade where you're risking a ton of money to make a very little amount. And one of the things that a lot of system vendors like to do is to improve their percentage of winning trades. They'll have terrible rewards to risk. You know, they'll try to capture, say, 10 pips, and they'll risk 30 to get it. And in that scenario, they might have a lot of high probabilities of wins, but you know, one trade, one loss will wipe out 3 winners. So in this case, I prefer to have my wins much bigger than my losses. That's why I myself use 2. You can change that to at least 1. You can do 1.5 to 1. You can put anything in there you want, but we highly recommend that you use, you know, this feature and pay attention to it. It's very, very important. Now, another thing that happens is that, again, we've discussed this before, that your P&L and your risk changes throughout the trade. Now, again, we see here that your reward to risk needs to be 2. Here we see when this trade started out, it had a reward of 0.3 pips to 1 pip of risk. In this case, it was 0.4 to 1, and that's why both of these are red. I'm going to cancel this out and show you on another screen. In this particular case, I think we were set up to 1.5. Let's see. Yep, we were set to 1.5 reward to risk, and you can see that both of these met that parameter, and so both were green. And so using either stop, what this is saying is go ahead, take that trade. It's a good risk reward. Now, another unique feature to MVFX version 3, as we've discussed, is that we show your live profit in this particular trade. Your live profit is about 5 pips. Your total objective is 11 pips. But notice how your live risk reward is also showing, and now it's 0.7 reward to 1 pip risk. When you started off, it was 1.7 to 1. But what this means is that as you make profits, as your trade becomes profitable, your risk to reward, or your reward to risk, actually gets worse, right? Because our stop doesn't change. We're getting closer to our target. So again, the reason I put this up here is to understand that, again, I see many people see a target profit, put in a stop loss, have this come within 1 or 2 pips, and then have this thing reverse and get stopped out. And that makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense. You need to move your stops and lock in profits as you start gaining profits, and keep your risk reward reasonable. When you get to a point where you're risking 19 to make that last pip, it just doesn't make sense. So folks, take your time, get to watch this, get to learn how it works, and watch how it starts to improve your trading. Once you use this and start locking in profits, you won't have a winner that automatically turns around and turns into a loser. Okay, next on our features, show target. We've set that to true, and that's the target profit. Obviously we want to keep that in there and have a visual cue, which is great. And then next, remove objects when hit. What this is about is, here are some past trades that we made. It would remove those if you turn that to true. I like to see what's happened at least during my trading day. So I like to keep those on there. However, if you are using a smaller time frame, a lot of times you can get multiple entries that might be on top of each other. The stops might be a little bit more difficult to see. So you'll have to take into consideration. Next, we have our email setting, true or false. Now, all this does is says, do you want the system to use MetaTrader's email alert system? If you set that to true, it will. And again, in a subsequent video, we'll show you how to set that up. This is using their alerting system also. Do you want to be alerted if a setup hits, if an entry hits, or if a target hits? Now, again, please note that if you're trading in a small time frame, like a 5-minute interval, and you've got a number of charts that you're trading on or you're waiting for, this can go off a lot because, again, we know markets can trend in one direction. You're going to get a lot of setups alerts. So, again, you'll just have to adjust that, and just a word of warning for those trading 1 minute, 5 minute, even 15 minutes. Stop hit. Again, you'll get an alert there. And then we've also added target hit for voice and stop hit for voice. So those two wave files that we copied on earlier to our sound folder, those will give you a nice vocal alert notice when a target or a stop has been hit. We've set the draw trend lines and arrows to true. That's these indicators right here, showing you where you entered and where the trade ended up, whether it stopped out or whether it hit target profit. And that's it. So again, I know we've covered a lot of territory in these last 2 videos. Please take your time to learn how to use them. And as always, send us an email at contact@mbfxsystem.com. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Also, if you have any suggestions to help make these tutorials a little bit easier, we welcome those suggestions as well. Thank you.